everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am coming to you on this Wednesday, July 3rd, 2019, with my next update video. So this is called Last Minute, and that's because I decided to film this video last minute. Like roughly 10 minutes ago, I was like, I better get everything organized. So here's what happened. And you may be able to see it, but basically the short version is that yesterday I woke up with swollen eyelid. I thought I was going to film yesterday, but because of my weather situation, I think that today it's probably going to storm a little later. So I was planning on filming yesterday, but not with my eyelid swelling to 4 times its normal size. No particular reason, it just does that sometimes. Allergies or dry contacts, or because I cry too much watching a sappy movie or something. You know, there's reasons. Or there's not, which is the case this time. So I didn't film yesterday. And then I get up today, and you may be able to see it, but it's still a little bit puffy, mostly along the bottom, but certainly a little bit along the top. I'm in my contacts today, so it's closer to normal than it was yesterday. But nonetheless, it's still not quite right. It still looks like I'm perpetually trying to wink, which I can't do anyway. So anyway, I figured that you guys don't really care about my face being a touch asymmetrical, and you're just going to look at the stitching stuff anyway, so not a big deal. So the reason that I am last minute deciding to film today, the actual true reason, is that I can't film tomorrow or Friday, because today is Danny's Friday. He's off for the long weekend. Because tomorrow is the 4th of July. Tomorrow is the American Independence Day. So happy 4th to those who celebrate. But yeah, I'm not filming with him here. And like, I'm not going to kick him out so I can film a FlossTube video. So that's why I decided, I was like, you know what? I better do it. Better get it filmed now. In light of this being very last minute, this is going to be the very abbreviated version of the video that I thought I was filming this week. The long story short is that I just do not have my stuff together. And it's also 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're probably going to get some late afternoon storms here. So I'm trying to do this on a shortened timeline. Q&A is going to have to wait. I have read your comments as they've come through on my email on last week's video, but I haven't responded to any of them, either an actual response or the heart. I just don't have it together to do Q&A this week, so that's gonna wait until next time. I'm also not really doing the plans this week. I can't. It's too much, and I don't have the time available to be able to do that. So that's also gonna hold off until next time. There is a chance that Danny might go play some board games this weekend, and if he does that on Saturday, then maybe I'll film that on Saturday, depending on what our weather situation is. I don't know at this point, but we'll see. Don't hold me to anything. It may not be until next week when I talk events and my plans for them. Today, however, I am going to show you the few things that I have worked on, as well as the things that I'm working on coming up here very shortly. I have no haul to show you. I did receive a couple of things in the mail this week, but I'll just hold off on that until a later date. And the reason for that is that I am attempting no buy July, except for my auto things. So the haul this month is going to be limited, unless I fall off that track. But I think that I can do it. I am going to talk books and knitting this week. I didn't last Friday. Sorry, y'all, for cutting that video short. I started to get a headache that grew into a migraine on Friday afternoon. So I had to cut it off. I was not feeling good towards the end of the video, but I am going to talk about that stuff today. So this won't be super fast. It'll just be kind of sort of quicker. We'll go with that. All right, let's go ahead and jump in and we're going to get going with the whips. Last time we spoke, I was in the midst of working on Forever and Ever by Cottage Garden Samplings, and so that lives in my Diddly Dabbles Designs project bag. This gorgeous print, that gorgeous print on the inside, her tag. Love this bag. Okay, so this is from the Songbird's Garden series. It's the first, and here's what it will look like finished. This is done on, it's charted to be done on Weeks Dyeworks linen with Weeks Dyeworks threads. I said no. And mine is on a 32 count Belfast from Lakeside Linens in Vintage Winter Sky. And I am using the DMC threads. So here is where I am up to currently. Some of y'all are going to be mad at me because I am super close to finishing that flower, and I just left it. So I stitched a lot the last few days of June, in particular on Sunday. Sunday I put in over 800 stitches or something like that to get my goal reached on this project before the end of the month. And so when it got to be later in the evening, I ran out of momentum and I wasn't in the mood anymore. So I walked away from stitching. But I am still really, really excited about the progress that I made. Yeah, I love this. And it's turning out pretty beautifully. Pretty accurate on the fabric color there. I really love this linen. I really love working on this. And I can't wait to get back to it. I started this project on July 13th last year for the 20-year anniversary of my grandma's passing. I may pull this out again towards that time if I can. We'll see. I make no promises. Lots of goals this month. But nonetheless, I was really excited to reach that goal on this project. Monday, July 1st rolled around, and I was so excited for Monday. I can't even tell you. I love it when the start of the month lands on a Monday. It just makes it just a little bit easier to bear. So, one of my first goals for Monday the 1st was to get going on my new start. I was so excited about this. Now, I actually didn't start this until the evening of the 1st, and that's because I had some big fabric questions. I just wasn't sure if this was the right fabric to use for this project. Ultimately, I decided that the 1776 from Color and Cotton that I showed you guys last week, that is too light. It's just too light for this piece. But then I had like 4 options to choose from. So I put it to a vote on Instagram stories, and just a huge thank you to everybody who voted. It was an absolute landslide victory for Beach Walk by Under the Sea Fabrics. Okay, so the project in question is Stone Street Stitchworks Fireworks on the 4th. And I thought that this was a StitchCon 2018 exclusive. Forgive me, I was incorrect. She actually released this on her Etsy shop before we got it at StitchCon. It is available on her Etsy shop now. So check that out if you are interested. And I think she's running a sale on her 4th of July related patterns. So I will be sure to link that in the description box below of this video here. I was so excited about this, you guys. I cannot even tell you. And then I made some decisions about it, and I got even that much more excited. So I decided to switch up the color palette. Not the color palette, but the threads called for, certainly. I thought with this gorgeous firework motif, which I love it. I absolutely love that. With it being a firework, sparkly would be awesome. sparkly would be great. And so I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to give that DMC Etoile a try, because I haven't yet, and I've heard pretty good things about it. So I wanted to try it for myself, to gauge my feelings on it. And y'all, DMC Etoile is so good. It is so good. It's sparkly without being Krynic or Petite Treasure Braid level sparkly. So if you want like a touch of sparkle in something without having to mess with either blending filament or I know that there's another blend, whatever. This stuff is great. So I'm super excited about it. So I picked up, this is 820. Etoile 820. Oh, good. You're catching the sparkle there. It looks like it should be awful. It looks like it should be light effects awful. But it's not. And then also 816. I actually grabbed both of the blues and reds, but when I got them home and compared them to the pattern, I really just liked these two. And then DMC Etoile, the white one, is not really white. It's kind of like a pale gray. It looks dirty. So I am going with Rainbow Gallery Silk Lame Braid Petite. And you just use this straight off the card, and it's fabulous to work with. And it's kind of got that same idea, just a little bit of shimmer without being like Petite Treasure Braid. Y'all, this is so good. This is so good. So let me show you my progress. I am working on this for just 30 minutes a day. And I was watching Cheryl's video from yesterday, and she hit the nail on the head. Like, I just have the exact same feelings about my July 1st new start. I just want to keep going. I just want to keep going. I'm forcing myself to stick to just 30 minutes a day, and just chipping away at it very slowly. So let me bring it in close. And I wonder if you guys are catching the sparkle. I hope so. I'm going to move it around a little bit so that maybe the sparkle will come through. It's beautiful, you guys. It's really nice to work with. You can see I use pretty long lengths. I found that the loop method doesn't exactly work. It could because it's basically DMC, so it's solid. But because of the way that this fiber is, it's a little too fuzzy for that, and it looks like it might be a multiple ply, and it's not plied very tightly. So it doesn't exactly work loop method. But I use a pretty long length, and it gets me a good long ways. I love this. And the beach walk is it's perfect for this, because my big concern was this color popping off, and I think it's going to do just fine. This design is pretty small. I think it's only like 4.5 inches wide on 32 count, which is what this is. It's a Belfast. And then I have my Betsy Ross needle minder that came with the mini mystery package from Color and Cotton. Oh, good. You're catching some of the sparkle there. I can see that. I love it. DMC Etoile is so good. It's so good. It makes me happy. So I have decided that I am doing this for my daily 30. So I'm working on it for 30 minutes every day. But that's my Monday through Friday plan. So I'm going to work on it for 30 minutes Monday through Friday. And at the weekends, I'm not going to do a daily 30 situation. I'm going to work on this as much as I want to. Not this weekend. This weekend is the kickoff to the Tour de France, and there's stuff going on with that. So that's not going to be the situation this weekend. But next weekend, I'm going to work on this because I love it. I love it a lot. And I am super enjoying it. I do realize, Cheryl talked about this too, I do realize that is because it's shiny new toy, and I always want to play with the shiny new toy. It's so good. Okay, so you guys know the firework I'm doing in the shiny fibers. And then I am undecided. I know for certain that the roof on the barn in the house is going to be in Classic Colorworks Hex Sticks because it's a patriotic design, and so I just kind of feel like Hex Sticks made famous by Priscilla and Chelsea. I don't know, just works. So I'm fairly certain that that's going to be the roofs of both of those buildings. And then I'm undecided as to whether the facades of the buildings, if I'm going to do the DMC or a conversion to some hand-dyed stuff. The trick is, let me bring that back here. You can see that the front facade is one color, and then the side, so that you can discern the difference between the two, is a little bit darker. So the trick will be to get two reds in a hand-dyed that play well together. So I'll look around in my stash. For the red, white, and blue stripes here underneath, so sort of making the top and bottom of this 4th of July banner, I'm going to use, unless I decide to use the sparklies, because I may, but if I don't, then I'll use these 3 that came with the mystery box. So Betsy Floss, Old Glory Blue, and Red. Old Glory Red. But we'll sort of see how I feel when I get to that point. I'm either using these or I'm not. But I'm a bit of a ways away from that because this firework, it's pretty, it's large. It's half the pattern at least. Let me think. A little over half the pattern. So yeah, I am loving every minute of that project. And so you're going to see it pretty consistently this month. I'm hoping I can finish it, but if not, c'est la vie, I'm enjoying working on it. So that new start almost put me down a very slippery slope. I came very close to starting 2 more projects on Monday. 2. So potentially 3 new starts all in one day. I guess that No Starts 2019 was the proverbial leash, and since I had taken myself off said leash, I was going full tilt. Totally berserk. The real thing is that I want to be able to participate in all of the things with everybody. We've got Christmas in July, which is Diana's half birthday sal, and we have the Imperfectly Perfect Stitchers BAP sal, and for her birthday, and like just all of the things. So I finally had a heart-to-heart with myself, and I said, Jess, do not go crazy with these new starts. And really, what did it for me is that I pulled up my spreadsheet that is my graph stats, and one of them tracks my whips, and it's a line, and it has been steadily going down all year, excuse me. And because of my new start, it dipped up here at the beginning of July, and I don't want it. I want it to keep trending downward. I've talked about it a bunch of times. I would like to get down to 20-something. But I'm not going to be able to do that if I'm starting things for everybody's birthday. So I'm going to try to pull out a Christmas whip at some point this month to work on for Diana's half birthday Christmas in July. And I'm going to definitely be working on at least one BAP, if not more than, for Heather's birthday. And I hope that that's okay, y'all. I can't new start. I can't totally go off the rails here. With Monday being the first of the month, it was time to get going on my monthly rotation. Because of the way that things are working out this month, I'm working on Rose Fairy these first 5 days. So this is what she will look like finished. And I have worked on her for the last 3 days. I haven't put in near as much as I wanted to. So this progress is smaller than I was expecting. But I'm still pretty pleased with what I've done so far. I've got the foam core here because my stitches are getting crushed by my Millennium. And so since she's going to be in my frame for an extended amount of time, needed to protect them. So I have worked down this side here, and so the leaf business up near this flower is all done. This bit of the sash kind of trails all the way down. That part is done, that section anyway. And then I got going on this rose here. I ran out of 2 colors. I think that I have them, I just didn't have them in my kit for this project, so not a big deal. So this flower isn't yet finished, as well as the flower bud here. I am almost to the halfway point. So this line right here is the halfway point. So I have just a little bit left to do on this side to reach that point on this project. My goal line for July is another 10 stitches down. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Now, one thing that I did as I'm working on this is counting over to the skirt to see if I got my placement right. And I did. So she is in the right spot. It's all going to line up beautifully. I'm so excited. Just really relieved to find that it's all in the right spot. So yeah, there's that. After working over there, I decided to come over here and get started on her top. She's wearing like a little tube top. And I hadn't filled this in beforehand because I was using that color purple in Bingo. Bingo is hosted by Sami Zayn Stitchers. The long story short is that yesterday I called it quits on the Bingo. I didn't want to. I signed up for the thing, and so I wanted to give it my all best effort, and I did. I gave it my all best effort, and it's not for me. It's too much switching. It's too many projects in a day. It's just not, it's not the way that I like to do things. I like to be able to sink my teeth into a project. Bingo does not let me do that. So yesterday I worked on 3 different projects, and it would have been a 4th if I had stayed true to Bingo. But I called it quits, and I was like, nope, never mind. This is not for me. So I backed out. So I was able to get in and work her bodice yesterday, her top rather. And then I also got started on this arm over here. I'll bring it in close so that y'all can see how far down I've gotten. Pretty far. I'm at the inside of her elbow, so about halfway down her arm, give or take. And you can see sort of cut into that purple, that blank spot there, that's one of her fingers. So that's about how far down I have to get. So yeah, I'm pleased. It's not quite as far as I would like to be, but I still have a couple more days. So there is that. Technically, that is all that I have worked on. So let's go ahead and switch over, and we're going to talk about plans. First up in plans, we're going to talk about School of Magical Stitch's homework for this week. So we are now in year 5 officially. July 1st was the start of year 5. And this week's homework is the before classes. So this is relation into some things that Harry went through before school got even started for the term. So we have 3 tasks and 300 stitches for each of the tasks for a total of 9 points. There's alternates, but purist. So I'm doing what the task was set forth. So the first one is a boring neighbor. So this is Mrs. Fig, who was sent over to watch over Harry, or Harry was sort of in her care when the Dursleys wanted to go do anything. And so we are to work on a whip that can get boring as you work on it. So I chose Rose Fairy for that because I'm doing her skin 1/1, and just the amount of stitching that goes into stitching the skin 1/1, especially for a girl who's wearing little more than a tube top, it takes a long time, and so that can get kind of boring. So there's that. That's what I chose to do for that. Next, I'm going to skip number 2 and go down to number 3. Number 3 is the Dementor attack. So Harry was attacked by a Dementor. And so we were to stitch on something without a face. And so I chose to work on my Fireworks on the 4th from Stone Street Stitchworks. No faces on that. So that's pretty good. And so that task is done. And then the second task is with relation to using underage magic and facing possible expulsion from school. So we are to work on a project that has been in suspension for at least 5 months or more. In my 2019 WIPs, I have very few projects that this qualifies for, but one of them I haven't worked on since October of last year, and that is Haunted House by Clouds Factory. Now, I did work on this for a very short amount of time for bingo, so you're going to see a little something weird going on with it, but it barely qualifies. So I have 83 stitches towards my homework for this task. This is on 32 count Belfast in Ombriel by Under the Sea Fabrics. And here is where I am at currently. So the number that was called for me, if you're curious, was 535, which is the facade of this turret of the house. So I came over here and worked that little bit there. So there's that. This is one of my WIP Go Focus pieces for the month of July, and my goal with it is to get pages 3 and 4 complete, and this line is pretty solid about where those page breaks are. In fact, you can see the outline of all of the pages. So page 3 is from this line over that way, and page 4 is all of this. I have a little bit to do on page 3. I have to finish the cloud up here, and there's a few more bats. But page 3 should go pretty quick like. And then page 4, you can kind of see here. Let me move my minder out of the way. So you can see I've got a little bit of this part of the house, and then I can come over here and do the witch and this cloud. And I think I even do the owl, so I think it cuts down about that far. So I'm pretty excited about that, actually. I'm excited to get some traction on this project. I started it in 2015. High time. High time to get moving. So there is that. And I think that this is my second WIP Go piece of the month, but I will at least get another 217 stitches or more before the end of this week. So there's that. And then starting on Saturday, that is 2 things. It's the start of my Heaven and Earth Designs rotation, and it is also the kickoff to the Tour de France. So Full Coverage Fanatics is having an event. It is a Stitch the Tour de France. There are essentially 3 options. So you can stitch only the flat stages, you can stitch only the hill stages, or you can stitch the whole thing for the yellow jersey. It works out to over 3,000 stitches, give or take. My goal is 7,200 stitches this month, so definitely went for it for the yellow jersey. You can stitch ahead, you just cannot start until that date of the 6th. And so I am going to probably, technically I'm supposed to only work on In This Moment for 5 days, but what I think I'm going to do is work on it through my first 3,600 stitches. So that would be by the numbers for June, so the 2,400 and the 1,200. So get that knocked out, and then I will move on in my rotation from there. Just trying to work through my goals as concisely as possible. So I think that's going to be my plan. I did not bring In This Moment to show you here today because I just showed it a few days ago, and so you'll see that. You'll see that next week and how far I get the first few days of the rotation. So I think that that is it for the plans. And so at this point, we are going to switch over to some non-stitching related things. If you are only here for the stitching, then I will see you next time. If you are here for the books, buckle up. Here we go. In books, I have just 2 books to tell you about, so this shouldn't take too long. One of which is expected, the other is not. So we'll start with the expected one first. I did finish Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is my paperback edition from the box set that completes Hogwarts Along the Spines. I listened to the audiobook for this. I gotta tell y'all, paperbacks and I. So I would have read this from the book itself, but I really don't want to break this spine. I would like to keep that as pristine as possible. So I use this to track my progress throughout the book. It's hard to tell what page you're on when listening to the audiobook. So yeah, that's what this is. This is my favorite of the series. I absolutely, I love this one. It changes in tone. It switches from a child's story to a much older audience, geared towards a much older audience. These books got older with my generation, so it was timing appropriate, but I really liked this one. The first time that I read it in a total of 3 days. I don't know how that's possible, but I did. I've reread this one probably more than the entire series put together. I love this one. It's my favorite. And I still, my heart's still pounding at all the right places. I won't talk about it because it's Harry Potter, and so if you know, you know, and if you don't, then you're a muggle, and you don't care. So, anyway, that's Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Love. I have started Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which is year 5. I did get that going, but I am barely into that very large book, so I will report back once it's finished. The second book that I have read since we last talked about books is The Unexpected One. So one night I'm laying in bed and I'm having a heck of a time trying to get to sleep. So I decided to read to try to help shut my brain off. And I wasn't actively reading anything on my Kindle at the time, so I just kind of scrolled through my library and picked something. I chose wrong. Because the book that I chose was really good. It's an author that I have read before who writes very compelling characters. And also situations that make you feel stuff. However, I'm not going into it, but this book, I can relate to some things in this book that I will never be able to articulate. And it brought up some feelings that I shouldn't have been dealing with at midnight while trying to go to sleep. It was a bad idea to read this book, but it was a really good book. I am not going to talk about the synopsis here on camera. And the reason for that is that there may be some small ears in hearing range, and this book tackles some familial abuse. So if you are intrigued, I suggest you read the synopsis, linked in the description box below to the Goodreads page. I don't want to talk about it on camera. Mostly for the small ears, but also because it might choke me up a little bit. So, like I said, I appreciate this book. I think that it had a mostly satisfying ending, and it was a really fast read. It's only 200 pages, so it's really quick, and you really want resolution. So the book, I guess I should tell you that. It is called Such a Pretty Girl by Laura Weiss. Like I said, I've read Laura Weiss before. She writes young adult contemporary, and usually her main characters come from traumatic pasts. And this is no different. So, like I said, check it out if you're interested. Just fair warning for some triggers. I'm just going to put that out there. I am currently reading a couple of things, but I will talk about those either in my events planning or when I finish them, whichever comes first. So look forward to that a little later. Okay, let's switch over and let's talk about some knitting. I may have alluded to the fact that I have 4 knitting projects to show you, but most of them are going to be very, very quick talks. Just real quickly walking you through what I have worked on in the last month or so. So the first thing is my Lilli Pilli. The last that I spoke to you about knitting, I was getting ready to start the lace section, and I mentioned that I was going to work the first lace panel, the first repeat of the lace panel before switching projects, and so that's what I've done. So I think, do I have my progress keeper? Oh, it's still way down there. I had a few rows of the stripes left to go, and then I did get going on the lace. It's kind of a mesh lace, so it's real simple. It's memorizable, and I love it. I love this. I haven't looked at it in a few weeks here. I want to get back to this right now. The pattern is kind of a diamond shape, so you can see the diamond growing and then it'll shrink back up the further up I get. This is beautiful. It's so much fun to work. This yarn that I'm using for the lace is a cashmere, I think it's a cashmere silk blend. No, it's not. It acts like a cashmere silk blend. It's super slippery, but that's all good. It's all good. Love this. This is Lilli Pilli by Ambah O'Brien. I have it in absolutely long ways to go, but nonetheless, hopefully I'll get back to this before too long. So there's that. After that, I had a look at my knitting whips and decided to come up with a plan of attack on how I was going to try to get some things finished. I thought that I was going to be sort of working on these things until the next shawl in the Shawl Society released, but I wasn't super in love with the second shawl for that either, so I'm just going to keep going on my whips until I run into one that I really have to knit. I just haven't felt that spark with this season of Shawl Society, which is okay. So my current plan of attack is that I have a few projects that are fairly close to done. And so I am setting a goal line, kind of like I do in stitching. I'm setting a goal line on them to reach every day. If I reach that goal line, so let's say project A, I would like to get 4 rows done every day. If I decide to knit some more, then I'm applying that to my oldest whip. So my oldest whip is going to be kind of a constant for a while I'm working through some things to get them finished. Fortunately, my oldest whip is close-ish to done, and so I am confident that I'll be able to sort of move through this rotation, so to speak. My plan with knitting changes all the time, just like it does with stitching, so that's what it is today. We'll see about tomorrow. So, my current oldest whip is my Doodler. Yeah, my Doodler. This is by Stephen West, and this thing is loud and funky and gonna blow out the camera. This was the Stephen West Mystery Shawl 2015, I think. Yeah, I think so. And so I cast on time, and as you can see here, I'm not quite finished. But I'm in the last section. So we started down here and worked these rays, and then worked the cable. It's kind of a knitted on cable, and it's huge. I think at the most it was like a cable 32. So swapping the order in which you stitch 16 stitches, it's really blowing out the camera. It's crazy. And then pick up stitches along this edge here and knit this this wedge section, and you will see that it's, this is crazy. You will see that it's pretty thick over here on this end, whereas over here, if I can get my needle untangled, it gets pretty thin. That's achieved with short rows. So I'm fairly close to done here. I don't work on this every day because I don't knit every day, and I get my goal on my focus on a finished piece done. I get that goal reached first. So I don't get to this every day, but I am trying to work on it as and when I can. And I'm just really excited to get to the finish line on this finally. Because I haven't shown this in a while, I'll walk through the yarns. This is Madelinetosh, Tosh Merino Light. The dark gray black with some blue speckles is Thunderstorm. This highlighter yellow is Edison Bulb. It was a Stephen West favorite for a long time there. And then the hot pink here is Prairie Fire. So that's my doodler, my wild and crazy doodler. Will I ever wear this in public? I don't know. We'll see. If I ever feel like glowing in the dark, certainly. But nonetheless, I'm kind of excited about it because it's just wild. It's just wild and it's interesting. There's my doodler. So this will continue to get some love as and when I can. Last Friday, my focus on a finish whip was not finished. But on Monday, I finished it. So this is Father Cables. The designer is Veronika Jobe, who is, I believe she is also Yoth Yarns. And I can't remember what Yoth stands for. But no matter, it is a hat. And that's showing up fairly color accurate. I am so excited because I can't get the color to show up right in picture. So this is an all-over cabled hat done in worsted weight yarn. Now I haven't blocked it yet, and I'm not going to block it too much. There are 4 sizes available when you buy the pattern: small, medium, or large. So those small and medium, or large, and then either fitted or slouch. So 4 options. And this is the small, medium, slouch version. So I'm not going to block it a whole lot so that it still fits. I knit this using the Uncommon Thread Lush Worsted, which is a Merino Cashmere blend, and the colorway is called Zitouni. Gorgeous foresty greens. This yarn has a halo in it while knitting it, and so that kind of muddies up the cables a little bit. So I kind of wish that I had known that before I decided to use this yarn, because you lose some of the cable definition. On top of that, and I'm not exactly sure why this is, but the background, so to help make the cables pop, they have you do this kind of jagged 1x1 twisted rib thing. And if I had known better, I would have done just like a reverse stockinette for the background, because you can't, I mean, the texture is there, but it's kind of muddy. It's not great. I started this project in 2018, early 2018, and the reason that this hat took me so long is the needles. Sometimes the needles can make or break a project for me. I had this on a pair, I'm not even sure, fixed circulars. They may be Hiya-Hiyas. And they are so blunt-ended that I was having a hard time with the cables. So I bought a cable needle, just a straight cable needle, because I don't like the hooked ones. So I bought a straight cable needle, thinking that that would mean the difference. And I didn't like using that. It's all cumbersome with the cable needle and everything. When I was working on my mom's blanket last year, at the end of last year, I learned to cable without a cable needle. And that was revolutionary, especially for the large cable rows on that blanket. But because I was using blunt-ended needles for this project, there was no way. Like, there was just no way that I was going to be able to cable without a cable needle on this. So I bought some Chiaogus finally so that I could do that. So then on a hat, as you get to the crown decreases, you either have to switch to DPNs or a magic loop. So I had to wait until I had some needles available so that I could magic loop the crown of this. And that was interesting. That was a story and a half, because I was cabling while decreasing magic loop. I was feeling like a knitting superstar because I was managing all of that at once. And the crown is actually really pretty. It's this kind of star pattern. I contemplated getting a faux palm to put on this, but I think that I may just leave it because I really like the crown there. So I'm going to put it on. It's 97 degrees outside today, I think. But it's like 72 here at home. So, yeah, it's going to need a little bit of blocking just to emphasize that slouch a little bit, but I do really like I do really like it. It's really pretty. I love this color. There she is. I think it's really cute. And it does need a little bit of blocking, because otherwise it gives me that kind of cone shape to my head. So anyway, so there's that. I'm gonna leave it on. It's really, because it's cashmere, it's super soft. I have, I think, 18 grams, which is 18 yards. No, it's more than that. Anyway, I have 18 grams left to try to figure out something to do with. So there's that. So I finished this up on Monday. And then it was time to pick my next focus on a finish bit. And I needed to get back to a shawl that I was going to be working on really consistently. So I went with my Moonlit Path by Lisa Haynes. Haynes, I'm not sure. And this project, I zoomed through the body of it. Y'all know, I showed this, I zoomed right through the body of this. And then this edge bit has given me fits. So, let me show you where I'm up to. Oh, that looks really good now. Okay, so this edge, this border, this top of the design, what have you, I knit the body of this in US 10.5s, I think. I think 10.5s or maybe 11s. And so when I got going on the border, that was a really great gauge for the slip stitch color work. When I got to the border, it was terrible. It was loose, it was lacy looking, and it wasn't supposed to be. It's supposed to have this textured appearance to it. So I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. Ultimately decided to rip it out. Ripped it out, charted my own border, because I wasn't enjoying the knitting of this border, charted my own, and gave that a try. Awful. There's a reason I'm not a knitwear designer, and that's one of them. It was bad. It was not good. It did not flow very well with this design. Scratch that, rip that out, start over, this time with smaller needles. So I went down to a US 10 for this iteration of it, and I'm finally happy with it. So that's where I'm at. My goal every day for this is half of a border repeat. And so this is one whole border repeat that you see here. The yarns that I used, they are Malabrigo Rios. The purple is Purpuras. The white is Natural, I think. And this gorgeous buttery green color is Water Green. Here it is in the skein. It's richer than that, but we're getting some really, really strong sunlight right now, so. Does that help? No, not at all. Anyway, so that's where I'm at with this, and I'm hoping that I can get 5 or 6 repeats out of this yarn. So I'm hoping to have this done in probably 2 weeks. If I stick to my half a repeat every day, yeah, I think 2 weeks we'll see this done. So very exciting. And then I will block it and I'll be able to wear it this fall. This is also worsted weight, so no way am I wearing this in summertime. No way. That is all that I have knit on. Quite a lot, but it's been a while since I've shown any knitting, so that's the way it goes. So that is going to bring us here to the end of the video. This turned out longer than I expected it to, but I have some editing to get to before I have a real true understanding of how long the video is. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Thank you for your continued support of me and my channel. I hope that everybody's doing well. I hope that if you're in the United States that you enjoy your 4th of July. Anyway, like I said, thanks for watching. Everybody take care, happy stitching. As always, be kind. See you next time.